drives it. And I always had an interest in that. And then, I was 12 and I became an actor, and that went on for a long, long time. And I rode that train in that direction until it started slowing down a little bit. And then I came home from treatment after the arrest. And I thought, holy shit, I am almost 50 years old. And I'm likely not going to be alive as long as I already have. That's not going to happen. What do I want to do with the rest of my life to give me a deeper experience? And I thought, well, I could continue to audition and, sit there in that office and, be the trained monkey that I'm so good at being, or I could do something different. And I chose to reinvent myself. And I went back to school to become a counselor. And I wondered if anyone would hire me to work in a treatment center. Because I've been to treatment a lot, but it's different being on the other side of the desk. And I started working in a facility, and then I moved to Breathe Life Healing Center about 7 years ago. And it's absolutely the most rewarding work I've ever done. And when you go to school to be a counselor, a lot of it is, oh my God, I'm going to be able to sit with people. I'm going to be able to talk to them. And then you realize that that's only 30% of it. The other 70% of it is documentation, charting, HIPAA laws, clinical appropriateness for this. And I've learned a lot over the years. And I don't work as a counselor. I work as a director. I do a lot of chart auditing, a lot of billable reports. I mean, I'm really good at a lot of stuff I had no idea I was really good at. And one of the great things about working at Breathe Life Healing Center is that I do get to have client interaction, but I also get to use a part of my brain that is very detail oriented, and that's very satisfying to me. But also, like when I booked Orange is the New Black in 2017, I think maybe 2018, and I was in New York on location for 5 months. I was sitting in my dressing room in my prison uniform, auditing charts on my computer because I was still working for Breathe while I was working for Netflix. And one day at a time, the Netflix version with Justina Machado and Rita Moreno and Isabella Gomez and all those amazing people, Todd Grinnell. I continued my work at Breathe. And then I go, oh, I gotta go. I've got a 10:30 a.m. call. I'm gonna head over to Sony. And then I come back to my office at Breathe and do my work. And so I'm very blessed, and I get to do both, and I get to choose. It's not like people are knocking down my door to, come be the star of this TV show. But I have the best of both worlds. I can write a book, I can do a guest star, I can work in my office, or I can not do any of it. So I'm very lucky.
You're doing it all. How did you first hear about this Netflix reincarnation 2017 of One Day at a Time with Rita Moreno and all these other people?
Rita Moreno was One Day at a Time, and then Orange is the New Black. I mean, it was crazy. So I knew they were doing a reimagining of One Day at a Time, not a reboot, but a reimagining. Yeah. And I thought, oh, it would be so cool if I could be on it. But it's not like I called Norman Lear and said, hey, Norman, but one day my phone rang and it said Norman Lear on the caller ID because, I have Norman's number. I've known him my whole life. And that's how it started. And, when even if you're in the middle of a clinical meeting and your phone rings and it's Norman Lear, you excuse yourself to go out in the hall and have a conversation with Uncle Norman. And, I went in for one guest starring role and it became a recurring. And so, I did maybe 4 or 5 episodes a season. And then COVID hit and the whole One Day at a Time thing stopped because it was just not sustainable because COVID was lasting for so long. And that was so cool. And it was so much fun because I get to be with Norman and I get to be with Patricia Palmer, who was the executive producer of the original One Day at a Time and is also an executive producer on the new One Day at a Time. So it was very full circle for me.
Did you have any reservations or no when Norman Lear called?
Not 1 second. I played a therapist. on the new One Day at a Time, and it was just it was kismet. It was perfection, and I had such a good time, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be on the show.
Why do you think, this reincarnation, the original still stands? Like, why do you think this, like you said, you thought you were just gonna, your manager said, just go do this little job until you're 18. Like, what do you think it is about this show that's just so iconic, like it stands the test of time?
Well, I think it's about Norman Lear. I think it's about him because of his archives. Like look at this, live in front of a studio audience, has won Emmys. It's about to happen again with Facts of Life and Different Strokes. And this is Norman, and Jimmy Kimmel and Brent Miller, who is Norman's right-hand man and a genius. And Norman is a social justice warrior and always has been. And he wanted to give the Latinx community a platform, a story. And I think it was like the perfect reimagining of One Day at a Time with the abuela and the divorced daughter and the kids. And it was just, I thought it was funny and brilliant. And I was really glad to be a part of it.
Are you shocked at where TV is in like a good way? Like, you talk about like One Day at a Time, like, Orange is the New Black, which I have some questions on in a second, like diversity and inclusion. I mean, especially like at Netflix is alive and well, like it's about time, right?
It's incredible. It's as it should be. As you watch a medium or anything sort of grow and change with time, you're always going to say, God, that should have happened a lot sooner with anything, right? The time had come, but it just wasn't happening yet. Now it's rolling out and it's beautiful, and we're seeing the rainbow, and it's beautiful. It's incredible. I'm so pleased.
One of my highlights of your acting career in the past, however many years, was your guest starring role on the brilliant Hot in Cleveland.
That was fun. Because, I'm sitting there and it's like season 2. I'm like thinking, are they going to ask me to be on this show? And then it's season 3. And then I'm hearing it's the final season of Hot in Cleveland. And I'm like, those sons of bitches. And then my phone rings. Oh, yes, of course, I'd love to do it. And that was so fun every day for that week, showing up and rehearsing with Valerie and being around Betty White and Jane Lee. Just the whole thing was fun.
When your phone rings, is it Valerie, or is it like agents and managers, or is it like Valerie being like, listen, girl?
I don't think it was Valerie. I think it was my agent saying, hey, it's a straight offer. I mean, obviously, they're not going to, but I didn't have to audition is what I'm saying. And I was like, totally. Yes.
Were you aware that fans of the world and pop culture and people went insane?
Yes. It was really exciting for me and Val both. We were like, oh my God, just wait till they hear. It was a big deal.
What is it? Listen, there's so many, Hollywood friendships. We all know how the business works, best friends today, friends not tomorrow. What is it, all these years later that you and Valerie are still like sisters?
We were teenagers and now we're women of a certain age, and we loved each other. We loved the people that we worked with. We were a family, and that, I guess, we certainly had our years where I was, out of my mind, and Valerie was like, okay, and there were times where, I would drive over Coldwater Canyon and I